If you have ADHD, you may often feel like there are not enough hours in the day to do everything you want to do or think you have to do. Tonight's guest, Marina Darlow, is a total productivity geek, and she's going to give us some systems and tools to help us get started in creating more hours every week to be productive or play. Enjoy the show.
Yes. All right. We have the lovely, charming, tech-savvy Miss Marina Darlow here today to talk with us about systems and ADHD and productivity. Thank goodness, because talking to her always gets me back on the right track. So for those of you who don't know her, Marina is a systems expert and a total productivity geek. When you think productivity geek, her picture is there in the encyclopedia under that. Her job is really helping impact-driven entrepreneurs get up to 10 or 20 more productivity hours in a week. So, forget daylight savings time where we got an extra hour to sleep. She gets 10 to 20 more productivity hours in a week for you. She also helps you to see where your money's going and really to prevent you from having stress-fueled breakdowns, which if you have ADHD, you know what those are. Her business is Vision Framework, and she has become really focused on working with people who have the ADHD gifts. She loves these people because they inspire her. And she loves the things that come with ADHD clients, like creativity, lots of energy when we get excited about things. And also, I love this part, a certain disregard of rules. So she gets a little kick out of that. I do want to mention, I'm going to mention several times throughout this that Marina has e-courses that you can take online. She's got great cheat sheets that she offers to people, and we'll be giving you information about how you can find that and get in contact with Marina as we go along today. Marina, welcome to Your ADHD Life.
Thanks. It's awesome being here. I love how this podcast is going. It's like so full of firecracker energy. It's just awesome being here. Thanks for having me.
We've been having a fun time. I want to talk to you just for a moment about my productivity and podcasts as an aside, but it's kind of related. Today I had the insight, most podcasts, and probably yours included, the people want to have it on a regular basis, like, every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, every Wednesday at 7, whatever. And I started that way. And today it came to me that I'm not really committed to doing that rigid routine, and that each of my podcast episodes is like a little ADHD gift because it's kind of novel. You never know who's coming up. You never know when they're going to arrive and be broadcast. You don't know what the topic's going to be. So they're like a little zing in your brain. It's like not knowing that you're about to get a great message on your phone. You get a little Your ADHD Life podcast. So, yeah, it may not be like efficient as far as building a crowd, but I think it's the ADHD way.
You know what? So what you say makes me think that when people listen to podcasts, they want to count on something, right?
Right.
And for many people, they take it at face value and it's like, okay, I want to know that every Tuesday a new episode is up. But with your podcast, there's one thing you can reliably count on. It will be a boost of energy. It will be it will make your brain twist in a different way, in an unexpected kind of
direction. I'm using that as a quote.
Go for it.
So one of the things that we were going to talk about today was effective systems for the ADHD brain. And for me, this goes with rule breaking and effective systems, my podcast schedule. So tell me about how you work with, tell me about your work with people who have ADHD brains.
So as you well know, there's no one ADHD. There are people who have strengths and certain places to improve, and then there are other ADHD people whose strengths are slightly different, and like their resistances also come from a different place. So first step is like understanding what gets them going, like
Yes.
what are their motivations, what are the things that they love to do, and then where they struggle. So any work, like you work with people, you understand what they enjoy and what they resist.
Right.
To be more detailed, because this is as general as it goes, what I try to create some kind of a flexible support framework. So there will be anchors to, to rein in the chaos. There will be things that are permanent and reliable and firm. And there also will be a lot of choice. There also will be a lot of motivations. And then, this is how you build this framework. You start with two things. You start with what you really enjoy doing. So for instance, you really love writing. How long do you think you want to write at a time? What are your focus patterns? That's one thing that is kind of across the board. When I work with someone, I very quickly want to understand what are their focus patterns.
Tell me what you mean by focus pattern.
Like ADHD people have this amazing gift that I'm all envious about. They can hyper focus and they forget to pee and they sit for 8 hours straight. Not everyone, obviously, but there's this thing going on. It's kind of like a trademark symptom. But you need to figure out what are your particular hyper focusing patterns, because some of the people, they can work very well for 2 hours and then they're like, okay, I'm done, all over the place. And some people, they work for 6 hours, even if they do things in between, their brain is still working on a certain problem, and that's where they get their best results. So first and foremost, we figure out what any particular brain, how does that particular brain work?
Yes.
How does it tie between a certain activity and the focus on that particular activity? And then we build their timetable and their projects and their life around that.
Yes.
So I guess that's the big starting point. It's interesting. So when I work one-on-one, obviously, I just talk and just ask. But in the courses, when you can't work one-on-one, I try to teach people to take stock of their patterns, to kind of notice and track it for a while, and then come to a conclusion, say, okay, also here is the best way that I work. Here are the times that I need to really protect.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. I mean, so you really have to start with, like, if you're going to build any system or any sense of productivity, you've got to know when and how you're most productive. Do you work best in half-hour spurts? Do you work best, in this area, in that area? So, right. The person that you're working with has to know, as do you, so that you can help them develop some kind of system. Oh, Miss Marina's saying she can't hear me. What's up with that? Huh?
Kirsten, I can't hear you.
I know, I can hear you. I hear you. I hear
every
you.
10th word.
Oh, that's so weird. So what I was saying was that it makes sense that you really have to start with an understanding of where your peak performance is, essentially, as far as, harnessing that. Because if you are if you schedule something between 5 and 7 at night, that's going to demand a lot of brain energy, and that's not one of your peak performance times, then you're kind of defeating the point of creating some kind of system and habit. You really want, you as the coach, the systems expert, need to understand your client, and they need to understand themselves.
Yes. I think it's true for every one-on-one relationship, for every service provider, but
I think it's true of every one-on-one relationship, period. Oh, you're freezing again. What's up with that? I'm going to tell you it's a frustration, but it is just creating this flow in my brain. So I'm like, what's going to happen next?
I'm going to punch my computer. But I'm really glad that it makes you laugh, because you're reacting like the best possible way.
Well, I got to tell you, because you're just this sweet, beautiful woman, and to see you like make a face like that is just unexpected. I'm sorry that it's because of your frustration, but
no, it's okay. It's so funny. Like, I'm not really a sweet, beautiful person. You know, my archetype is, I'm a freaking warrior.
All right. Okay. You are. You are bad, Marina. You are badass. I'm just gonna say. So I'm hoping that we're actually recording this, because I got to tell everybody, Marina and I met like a couple of years ago when she was asking about, you know, working with ADHD clients. And I've met other people who said, like, could you help me understand this or whatever? And Marina like freaking took the bull by the horns and like dove in. And within like 3 or 4 months, she was presenting at the International ADHD conference that we had down in Reston, Virginia. And she was educating herself about ADHD. So it wasn't just that she wanted somebody to give her a few tools and tips about how she could work with her clients with ADHD. She actually wanted to educate herself so that she could do the best job with her clients. And I can attest to the fact that, look at her, she's like all embarrassed. Come on, warrior woman. Oh, yeah. Come on, warrior woman. If you want to do systems and productivity, like, she didn't ask me to say this, but she kicks butt. So there you go. That's my testimonial for you. I've got a lot more to say about it, but we'll get back to you. What are the topics that you're usually working with people on around productivity and systems? What are the different areas?
Well, there is first, like, we'll go from the high to the more detailed, high level. So one of the first thing is really setting priorities, or in other words, setting direction. So I just, for instance, had a client, and she is taking her website with 10 million monthly visitors. She wants to take it up to the next level. And she's like, okay, what should I do? I have all these ideas. And she brought like a huge document with pages upon pages. And she's like, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this. And that sounds really cool. And I did some study on this one. I'm like, okay, let's see what are advantages, disadvantages, how much investment every option needs. So basically we went through it and we set a direction. Nice. We did a pretty thorough analysis, including, by the way, and this is something that's kind of really talked about, not just how much money you need to invest, not just how much time this would require, but emotionally, how willing are you to go there versus how much this option excites you? Because if, for instance, you want to do a YouTube channel, and it's a huge investment if you want to do it at the level that she needs, it's people and equipment and screenwriting and time and all the hullabaloo. Like, but if it really lights you up, if this is your thing, like, go for it, sure. Like, you'll deal with the social media on the fly later.
Right.
But if the app, for instance, that she was thinking of doing would be like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, but I hate tech. Oh, well, yeah, maybe it's a great idea, but it has nothing to do with you at this point, because emotionally it does drag on your psyche. You don't want to be there. So that's one thing, that we really set a direction. And with ADHD, it's paramount to choose among the multitude of wonderful visions that these people tend to have, because, like, I love this. I just love being surrounded by all this amazing, amazing energy, all these like creative visions of stuff. So I'm helping to, shape the couple that matter more than others and help people focus on that. And then when we go a little bit, like, the next level is really to do the project plan to, okay, You want to do, say, that YouTube channel or to launch this product. What are the steps we're going to take? Not that like daily, but what's the timeline? When do you want it? What do you need to accomplish? Broad strokes. Like, how do you set it in sequence? Who are the people that you're going to need? When do you go? Like, when are you going to need them? So we kind of build a project plan. And then under that, there are all the systems. How do you manage your email? Like, what kind of platform do you use? How much time are you spending on it? How do you manage the details of your social media? Money, like what the heck is going on with your budget, with your cash flow? Where do you get the money? Do you know where you get the money? Do you know how much money are you making? How are you keeping track of that? How often do you keep track of that? So all these things, they all require systems. And then of course there's systems for sales and for basically any kind that hurts business. And that's the most, I guess, close to the ground thing that I do.
So I remember working with you, and I've got a project manager right now because yes, we're relaunching my website again, and I think it's true for a lot of people I know with ADHD. We're great at the big picture. So when you're talking about like, you know, creating the channel and who do you want to reach and what's the story you want to tell and all of this kind of stuff, I'm like all in. And then it gets down to like the detailed things and like how many systems that takes to sustain that big picture. And I'm like, ugh. How do you help people with ADHD to manage that challenge of dealing with all of the detailed pieces of the bigger projects?
There are two possible ways, actually three. And the third is a combination of the two. The way one, if it's like a solopreneur with modest means and doesn't want to invest too much, we try to create something as automated as possible. Yeah. As little involvement as possible, and this is something, by the way, that I learned from your book, to make it as engaging and playful and interesting, to put in some novelty, right? So maybe you will change the color code of your calendar every 3 months. Maybe you would have like some sensory pleasure to bring into your budget meetings if you really hate it. Essentially trying to create an experience for the small systems, like everything that's mindless, try to automate. Everything that's slightly less mindless, we try to make engaging and pleasant and renew it every once in a while, kind of build it into our plan, put a reminder like, okay, it's really time to revise your blocks in your week. How do you revise them now? Nice. That's one way. Another way is outsource everything you can and just focus on what you're really, really good at.
Yes.
That, not everybody can do it at every stage of their businesses because money, management, which is also a skill, and sometimes you want to outsource the management. Like maybe for some people, I'll just hire a COO and he will manage everything. I'll just tell him where I want to be and he will report to me at given intervals. So that's outsourcing. For most people, really, it's the combination of the two. And then we need to decide together, what are you automating and what are you outsourcing and how the two work together. So for instance, if you're hiring a VA, you need a VA that works within, the systems that you built, that you know enough to be dangerous.
Right.
That's really what it is.
Amazing. It sounds so easy. Oh, we've lost her again. We've lost her. And she's back. The little ding, I don't know why, because it's probably far from it, but it reminds me of like the doorbell on Mr. Rogers. I don't know why.
There could be worse things to be reminded of.
It's true, but yeah, I think his was a little bit lower tone, but it was ting dong. Ooh, who's at the door? Let's go see. It's Marina again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you have a course that you're teaching now. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that fits in with all of this?
Do you mean the free course or do you mean the one that I'm scaling up?
Oh, well, let's talk about the free one first, and then let's talk about what's after that.
Oh, thank you for asking. So
I've heard about it. I have friends taking your course who love it. So yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So the free course is about you know, it's meant for people who know they need systems, and maybe they have some kind of systems in their business, but they're not sure where they need to start to really make the systems work for them. So in fact, it's of course like, where should I start? I think that's the name I gave it, something like that.
Which system to tackle first?
Like, which system to tackle first? And it's a free email course. I think there are 5 lessons, and they basically walks you through. Does this hurt? How do you know this hurts? Oh, this is how you know it hurts. Start here. Oh, does that hurt more? How do you know this hurts?
So which are the areas that you're looking at for pain? What areas are you looking at for pain?
Time, money, communications, and sales, which is essentially a blend of all 3.
Right.
But sales is so uncomfortable for most of us,
yes,
that it deserves a specific lesson, especially since there's so many systems and apps that are focused on sales, that you could automate that sales aspect that kind of incorporates money, time, and communications.
Nice.
So that's the course.
I mean, so part of your job is really knowing some of these systems that people can buy into, apps or it's always good to know.
Yeah, I can definitely make recommendations. Like, I don't build my own software, God forbid.
That would be a big project. So people can take that. You said it's five lessons through email, and then if they want to take it to the next level, what comes after that?
I'm now scaling up a course I piloted this summer. So this summer I called it "Make Anything Happen."
Yes.
If you have a better name, by all means, I am open. I'm still brainstorming the good title for the course, and it just a painful experience. I need someone with an ADHD gift to come and say, Marina, this is this and this is that. This sounds great. But
challenge accepted.
I'll take you up on that. What it teaches is really the implementation. So how does it work? What I noticed that people love planning, especially when they're big plans. They're like big visions. They're seductive.
Yeah.
They are inspiring. And people usually, especially ADHD folks, they're really good at details. Like, they're amazing at immediate reactions. They're like, they would, knock you out of the water with taking action right now.
Yes.
But the problem starts in the middle. Like, how do you go from the big vision to the little detail and back up? Because sometimes the little actions are not really connected to the big vision. We all know that, you sit and you tweak your website for 3 months when in fact you need to be doing your sales funnels or something like that.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Like, how do you go from big to small and from small to big? And the other thing, what really, really struck me as I was doing my research before the course, is that when it comes to implementation, that when the breakdown really happens, because implementing your strategy, like, you know what to do,
yep,
you know how to do it, but for some reason something is holding you back from actually, taking the next step, taking this action. So the course is at its core about learning to act, learning to implement. We are talking about laying the groundwork and planning and making sure, you know the best ways to plan and to make your plans kind of translatable into little actions. We talk about habits, but the big purpose and the big outcome is really, who was it? Dr. Russell Barkley. It's not that I don't know what to do, how to, it's doing what I know how to do.
Yeah.
So that's what the course is really about, is doing what you know you need to do and that you know how to do, like actually bringing yourself to this implementation.
And therein lies the title of your class. It has something to do with taking things from knowing what to do to doing what you know.
Knowing what to do. Okay. All right. I love that.
You work with those words, and I think that's it. Because that really is, that's what I was asking a minute ago, which is, really, I can come up with in the moment, a million great ideas and big plans. And in that moment, I could probably bring it all the way down to like all the little details. But when it comes to that, past the first week of shelf life on an idea, sometimes not even that long, I'm like, ugh, like it's just too much. And so even though it's still in my head, it doesn't get implemented. I know what to do. I'm just not doing what I know to do. So yeah, I think that's going to be a huge course. I think that a lot of people are going to benefit from that.
What we really do in this class, we have not just videos, which many people do this video courses and self-study and everything. What we have live classes after you've watched the video. And this is when the magic really happens. This is when people really start getting to their computers and their notebooks and doing and working on their projects. And that gives them the boost to keep working on it and the accountability till the next week. So
Yes.
that really I was interesting. The feedback that I got was like, oh, the material is great. Yeah, the material is really good. But what really matters
It's true.
hours.
I mean, I took an online coaching course over many, many months, and they had a graduation rate. It was like below 20%. And what it was that there was a graduation project that you had to complete before you graduated. And the course ended, as far as the live piece ended, before most people turned that in. And so without the accountability, most people did not finish because they lost whatever it was that motivated them. And that the accountability piece is huge. If you don't have that connection to a group or a person, I always say your calendar doesn't really give a crap. If I've written down I'll have this done by Friday, but nobody else knows about it and I'm not accountable to anybody, I don't care. Friday comes and goes. My calendar's not going to slap me on the hand or.
Yeah, it's very true. And the piece that you mentioned about a group that I want to kind of bring more to light, by the way, you look fabulous now that I see you well. The picture suddenly being pixelated. You look amazing.
Thanks.
So, this accountability in the group, it's very much about the connection to the people with you.
It is.
Right. It's not just, I have my coach and I'm accountable to her because she's going to think bad things about me. In order to this accountability to even work, you need to freaking care at least a little about people who would view what you're doing. So that's what I'm aiming to build, this community of people who care about each other slightly, or really not slightly.
It's akin to, I can't tell you how many kids I hear say, like, I do well in the classes where I like the teacher, right? It might be a class that you're really interested in, but if you don't like the teacher, you don't feel accountable for doing a good job. So it's the same thing. If you're in a group and you don't feel that connection with the group or with a leader, you're not likely to be invested in it. Whereas if you're creating this community of people who are working, to create systems and productivity and they're connected to one another, they like one another, then that accountability is it's so much more powerful. So,
That's the aim.
Well, I know I have at least 2 friends who this summer took, which I guess was your pilot program, and just raved about how much they enjoyed it. So,
Really?
I absolutely, I talk to my friends every once in a while and they tell me stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We're so well connected.
I think I'll name drop, but I think Deshawn was in your group.
Deshawn was in the previous group.
Okay, well, I know that she took at least one and she rocked it this summer. So she's somebody who's had a lot happening for her this past year. So I know that you've been enormously helpful to her. And maybe she'll chime in when she listens to this because she loves listening to the Your ADHD Life podcast show. So you've also got a cheat sheet, and I don't know if that's something that you want me to share the URL for, make systems work for the ADHD brain, or is that something that people get when they sign up for something?
So the best way is probably if we share the cheat sheet on show notes, because it's not on my website anymore.
Okay.
I'm reworking my website, hence the photo shoot today. So
Oh, Marina always looks this glamorous. Don't be telling people you had a photo shoot. You always look this glamorous. Just like that. Just
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly. That's me.
I hope they got that picture of you for your website.
Yeah.
Miss Marina, so I want to wrap things up because unlike me, when I'm talking to people who I love, some of my audience members have a short attention span and may not be as amused as I am. What are some of the tips or just ideas that you want to leave people with around the importance of systems and productivity when you have ADHD?
Well, systems are there not to beat you over the head with their rigidity and hateful messages, and systems are not there, the right system, to tell you you do not fit in. Their purpose is exact opposite. They're there to support your unique, amazing, creative abilities.
Yeah.
It's just the systems have to be tailored to the way you create. And that really where's the rub. I know that people come to me after, they hated systems for a long time. And at some point it becomes unbearable. And part of the unbearable is because people perceive systems as something they cannot deal well with. So I want to challenge this notion. And I want to say that for ADHD, systems are probably even more important than for the general population. And B, systems, when they're done right, they are such a huge asset. They're like, I don't have a good analogy.
Well, I think your statement that you can increase people's productivity, give them essentially 10 to 20 hours of more productivity in their week. I mean, that's a huge statement right there. That's what systems can do for you. And yeah, I mean, I literally was just saying to my web team, I wish that I had 48 hours for every single day so that I could get more stuff done. So
you have a ton on your plate too, right?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But I want to also say that it's beyond just time. It's more the peace of mind and the freedom to do stuff that you enjoy. It's beyond just, I have 10 more hours to play on my phone because I'm exhausted from my life. I'm now calm about, my money issues. I know when things are coming at me, or at least I can predict them, and I'm in control. And then it's easier to relax into this productive state, this good creative mindset.
Yes. And so I would even maybe edit, you get 10 to 20 more hours a week to be productive or to play.
Yes.
So, right? Because if you can get all your work done in the hours that are allotted and you do it efficiently because you've got great systems, then think of all the other things you could do. They don't have to be productive. They could just be fun.
Oh. With an apple and a book, which I would do gladly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Marina, how can people get a hold of you? Where do they find you?
Come to my virtual home. It's vision-framework.com. It's all there. Find me on Facebook, just my name, Marina Darlow, or Vision Framework. There's also a page. You can follow me on Twitter if you really want to. I'll be honest, I usually post stuff there, and I don't quite get Twitter yet. But come to my website, vision-framework.com. I'll be there.
Nice. Thank you very much, Marina. Thank you so much for joining us today and persevering through the challenges of online connectivity.
Thank you for having me. I had a fabulous time. It was really fun. Thanks.
Awesome. Fun. Thanks. If you've enjoyed the show, please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YourADHDLife. This is Dr. Kirsten Milliken. Until next time, have fun and find ways to play.